What happens when your star witness just vanishes? Not delayed, not reluctant, just gone. One of the key women accusing Sean Diddy Combs, known only as victim number 3, has mysteriously pulled a disappearing act just days before she was expected to testify in federal court. No call, no lawyer updates, no sign of showing up. And now, the prosecution's case is wobbling like a folding chair at one of Diddy's infamous parties. So the question is, does this make Diddy's legal team breathe a little easier? Or are we looking at a much bigger problem brewing under the surface? And maybe the more uncomfortable question, why would a witness under subpoena, one who was ready to speak on years of alleged abuse, just walk away? In today's video, we're unpacking every angle of this unexpected twist. We'll break down what her disappearance means legally, how the timeline of events may be falling apart, and the one detail prosecutors are not including in opening statements, which might signal they're already cutting their losses. Stick around because later in the video, we'll reveal a crucial reason this one missing witness could blow the racketeering charge wide open or shut it down entirely. This is Chatter Fuse, where scandals aren't just headlines, they're pressure points. If you like smart, sharp commentary without the fluff, hit that subscribe button and let's dive in. To understand just how serious this is, you have to rewind the clock. Sean Diddy Combs isn't just a music mogul, he's a cultural force. Decades of chart-topping hits, fashion ventures, C-Rock deals, red carpets, and untouchable status. But behind the platinum plaques and luxury branding, prosecutors now allege a very different empire was running in parallel, one built on coercion, drugs, and silence. The federal indictment paints a disturbing picture, a 20-year scheme where women were allegedly recruited, manipulated, and trafficked under the guise of celebrity lifestyle. The so-called freak-off parties, where heavy drug use, intimidation, and sex work collided behind closed doors, weren't just wild nights. They were, according to the government, calculated operations. That's what this trial is about. Not one incident, not one victim, but an alleged system. And that system was supposed to be dismantled by 4 key witnesses, each one holding a piece of the puzzle. But now, one of them is gone. No warning, no explanation. Which brings us to the turning point that has prosecutors sweating and the defense suddenly very optimistic: the disappearance of victim number 3. And here's where things start to unravel. Victim number 3 wasn't just another name on the witness list. Her testimony was expected to anchor a key segment of the government's timeline, linking Diddy directly to some of the most disturbing claims in this case. She wasn't some vague side player. According to court documents, she was meant to testify during the second half of the trial, strategically positioned to reinforce earlier accusations and solidify the prosecution's pattern of abuse. Now, with her completely off the grid, no phone, no lawyer returning calls, no explanation, the government's entire structure looks shakier by the hour. It's not just about her not showing up. It's the signal that sends, if one witness bails, how secure are the others? If someone with this much legal backing and federal protection still chooses to disappear, what kind of pressure are these women under? Prosecutors aren't saying much publicly, but behind closed doors, insiders say they're scrambling. You don't just pull a witness from your case mid-trial unless something has gone terribly wrong. And that's exactly what this looks like. The worst part? Her story wasn't optional. Losing her testimony could blow a hole straight through one of the major trafficking charges. The legal term is material witness, meaning, without her, a big chunk of this case may no longer hold. And Diddy's defense? They're already making moves, suggesting this sudden disappearance proves the accusers can't be trusted, that they're unreliable, maybe even exaggerating. It's not subtle. So now, with one pillar gone, the prosecution is left leaning heavily on the remaining 3 witnesses, each carrying more weight than they were ever meant to bear alone. At the center of that group is Cassie Ventura, Diddy's former partner, and arguably the most high-profile accuser in this trial. Unlike the others, she's not anonymous. She's not hiding, and her claims are already backed by something the jury can see with their own eyes. a 2016 surveillance video showing Combs allegedly assaulting her in a hotel hallway. That footage isn't vague. It's time-stamped, it's raw, and it's now officially part of the court record. And while Diddy's team insists everything in their relationship was consensual, there's only so much spin you can put on a hallway beatdown caught on camera. But here's where things get complicated. Cassie settled her civil case against Diddy in 2023, just one day after filing it. That move raised eyebrows then, and now it's resurfacing in court. The defense is subtly suggesting her motivations may not be as clear-cut as the prosecution wants them to appear. Settlement money, headlines, public sympathy. It's all being used to seed doubt, especially now that one accuser has already disappeared. The two other witnesses, a friend of Cassie and a male sex worker reportedly tied to the so-called freak-off parties. Their testimonies might offer corroboration, but neither carries the visibility or cultural weight Cassie does. And without victim 3 to fill in the middle, the timeline of abuse begins to look fragmented. The prosecution knows this. They're not backing down, but they're clearly recalibrating, shifting the narrative to lean harder on the physical evidence, the corroborating details, and Cassie's celebrity credibility. But here's the challenge. When your strongest witness also has the most complicated backstory, the defense doesn't need to disprove her. They just need the jury to hesitate. And the defense isn't wasting a single second capitalizing on the chaos. From the moment the witness vanished, Diddy's legal team shifted gears, framing her disappearance as proof that the entire case is built on shaky ground. They're not denying that events happened. They're arguing those events weren't criminal. According to them, what the prosecution calls trafficking and coercion were simply consensual relationships that have been twisted after the fact. It's a bold stance, but with one accuser missing and another tied to a settled lawsuit, they found an opening. In court filings, the defense has already begun characterizing the women as unreliable, suggesting that the narrative has changed over time for reasons that have more to do with fame or leverage than justice. But there's a deeper tactic at play. They're leaning into what's not being said. If prosecutors had a rock-solid case, why drop a central witness from the opening statements? Why let someone that crucial slip away without explanation? Those silent absences become talking points, seeds of doubt planted directly into the minds of jurors. Even more calculated is Diddy's own posture throughout. He's rejected multiple plea deals, signaling that he believes he can beat the charges outright. That level of confidence, especially in a federal trafficking case, isn't just bravado, it's strategy. His legal team wants this trial to look like an overreach, a desperate attempt to convict based on social pressure rather than facts. And now, with the prosecution visibly scrambling, the courtroom is starting to shift from a battle of facts to a war of perceptions. And naturally, with the spotlight this intense, the courtroom isn't the only place where this trial is unfolding. Cable news panels, podcasts, op-eds, everyone has something to say. Some paint this as a long overdue reckoning. Others question whether the justice system is chasing headlines instead of truth. And in the middle of it all, the public is split between outrage and skepticism. What's different this time is the volume. The trial isn't quietly making its way through legal channels. It's trending, dissected, and speculated on in real time. Every court filing, every delay, every rumor is amplified across social media, and that's shaping public opinion before a single verdict is even reached. Then there's the celebrity factor. With names like Cassie already involved and whispers of other industry figures floating in the media ether, there's a sense that this isn't just one man on trial, but a culture that thrives behind velvet ropes and thick legal contracts. Diddy's fame adds gravity to the case, but it also adds noise. Supporters see a media hit job. Critics see decades of silence finally breaking. And for the jury, that outside pressure doesn't disappear when the doors close. They're being asked to filter truth from narrative in a case that feels like it's being litigated both in court and in the comment section. And so here we are, days into a high-stakes federal trial with a star witness missing. the prosecution reshuffling its entire approach, and a defense team that smells blood in the water. This isn't just a courtroom drama. It's a collision of celebrity, power, and justice. A trial meant to expose a decade-spanning pattern of abuse is now battling its own internal collapse. One missing witness doesn't erase the charges, but it reshapes the battlefield. And it raises the question, does justice depend on evidence or endurance? If the jury sees this as doubt, Diddy walks. If they see it as intimidation, the stakes climb even higher. Either way, the next 8 weeks won't just decide a verdict. They'll measure how far accountability can reach when fame and fear collide. And as we've seen before, sometimes the truth doesn't get silenced. It just gets delayed. Make sure you hit like, drop your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to Chatterfuse for ongoing updates on this case and every other scandal Hollywood doesn't want you to talk about.